I believe that Jonah, for those of you who are not familiar with the story, Jonah fled from God. God told Jonah to go to Nineveh, um, and Jonah didn't want to go. And he didn't want to go to Nineveh because the people in Nineveh tortured his people. And so he believed if he went to Jonah, that they would torture him at the least, if not kill him. And so he ran in the opposite direction to keep from going to Nineveh. And he ran as far as he could and came to the Mediterranean Sea. And then he got on board a ship. And while he was on board that ship, he thought that was going to be his means of escape, that he was going to be able to sail into the sunset. But Jonah wasn't able to sail into the sunset because God sent a storm to disrupt his voyage. And when the sailors on the ship were questioning, why is this happening? Jonah admitted, he said, it's because of me. God's angry with me because I'm not doing what he told me to do. And so Jonah said, if you guys want to be okay on the rest of your voyage, you need to throw me into the sea. Now, they had been at sea at least a day, so they weren't in what I consider to be shallow water. So I fully think that Jonah expected to die. And so when Jonah told them to throw him into the sea, he thought he was going to drown, but he didn't drown. God sent a great fish to swallow him, and Jonah spent the next 3 days in the belly of that fish. And some scholars believe that after spending 3 days in the belly of that fish, that the outer skin of his body would have been damaged, which, skinning alive, is the torture that Jonah was fleeing from. That was the Ninevites' favorite torture, was to skin the Israelites alive. And so Jonah, instead of dying, right, was swallowed by this fish. And he came to his senses after 3 days that he realized God was not going to allow him to die. And that's why I was not willing to try to kill myself, because I don't believe the power of life and death is ultimately in my hands. Now, I have the power to hurt myself, right? And Jonah wound up in a worse situation because of being in the belly of that fish for 3 days than he would have been if he'd, not have been in the belly of that fish. So I do believe we can attempt to hurt ourselves and hurt ourselves, but ultimately whether we live or die is not our decision. It's God's decision. And the pain of dealing with my husband's death was the most I was willing to deal with. I wasn't willing to cause myself any more harm or any more pain than what I was already enduring.
Yeah.